It only took one hit to blow the whole thing wide open. Sophie Carrington slammed into Sophie Cunningham with a shot to the head and neck. Flagrant 2. Instant ejection, no debate needed on the court. But the real fight started off it. Cunningham clapped back hard, and Carrington answered with just 2 words, white privilege. Just like that, a basketball play turned into a full-blown national argument about race, intent, and who gets held responsible. And the WNBA's response? A slap on the wrist, $1,000 fine. Then almost nothing else said at all.
Absolute disgrace. That's what one fan is calling the decision from referees during this moment at a WNBA game on Saturday.
Now people are asking a bigger question. Is it finally time for Commissioner Adam Silver to actually step in? So how did one foul spin this far out of control? And why did the league staying quiet end up becoming the bigger headline than the foul itself? Let's get into it. The hit that stopped the game. Saturday, August 8th, 2026. The Indiana Fever are in Chicago, facing off against the Sky at the United Center. First quarter, game's already moving fast. This is the kind of matchup that gets eyes on it. Nationally televised, cameras everywhere. The type of game where every single play gets picked apart online afterward, win or lose. Sophie Cunningham pushes it up the floor on a fast break, gets past her defender, and goes up for what looks like an easy layup. Nothing special, just 2 points in transition. Except it wasn't easy. Not even close. Sophie Carrington comes flying in from behind and catches Cunningham high, head and neck, with enough force to spin her sideways in the air. Somehow, the shot still goes in. But the landing, not pretty at all. Cunningham crashes to the floor, and for a second, the whole building goes silent. That kind of silence you get right before a crowd erupts. The refs stop everything and head straight to the replay monitor. And this isn't a quick glance and move on review. They go frame by frame, angle by angle, taking their time. When they come back out, the call gets upgraded, flagrant foul, penalty 2. The reasoning is simple, wind up, impact, and follow through, landing high on the neck. That's the exact combination refs look for when deciding a hit was excessive and unnecessary. And in this case, there wasn't much room to argue otherwise. Penalty 2 means only one thing. Carrington's night is over. Automatic ejection, no way around it.
On Sophie Cunningham that led to Sophie Carrington's ejection. Many left out a big part of the story.
She doesn't stay down for long. Cunningham's back on her feet almost instantly, and the anger on her face says everything before she even opens her mouth. She marches straight at Carrington. There's a shove, and both benches empty out fast. Officials scrambling just to keep it from turning into a full-blown brawl. Here's the part that made this hit different. It wasn't Carrington's first flagrant of the season. Way back in the opener, she caught a flagrant for hitting Jessica Shepard in the head. Then against Seattle, another one, this time on Skylar Diggins. 2 flagrants, 2 different players, 2 different games, all before this moment. Fans and analysts had already started noticing the pattern. So when number 3 showed up on national television, it wasn't just one bad play. It looked like a habit. And that's exactly the lens the officials were watching through. This wasn't a single isolated hit. It was the 3rd strike in one season from the same player, on the same type of dangerous, high-contact play. A 3rd flagrant in a nationally televised game against someone who clearly wasn't going to let it slide quietly. That's not a close call. That's about as obvious as officiating gets. Final score, Indiana pulls it out, 90-86.
And that will do it. The Fever hang on in a slugfest, 90-86, the final at United.
On a normal night, that scoreline is the whole story. A gritty road win in a hostile arena. Just another chapter in a Fever season that's already been breaking attention records. But this time, almost nobody cared about the final score. By the time the buzzer sounded, the arena and the internet had already moved on to something much bigger. Because 2 players weren't done talking, and what they said next would turn one hard foul into a national firestorm. Let's start with the hit that started it all. Sophie Cunningham wasn't in the mood to stay quiet. When reporters asked her flat out whether she thought the foul was intentional, she didn't dance around it. She called it unnecessary, plain and simple. She said she'd never had any real interaction with the player before, no history, no beef, but figured there was clearly something built up that needed to come out. Her response: she could take it. Then she explained why she jumped up so fast after getting hit. She said she wasn't going to let anyone treat her like that and just walk away. In her mind, that reaction was exactly why the whole thing escalated. Because the moment called for attention, and attention is what it got. That answer tells you everything about who Cunningham is on this team. She's not some rookie who panics under pressure. All season long, she's carried the label of Indiana's enforcer, the player who steps between a teammate and trouble, who takes the hard fouls personally, who never backs down when things get physical. That's the same energy that's landed her a handful of technical fouls and built her a fan base that sees her as the one player in the league who refuses to be pushed around. What surprised people wasn't her fire. It was her control. Standing at that podium, she didn't dodge a single question. She didn't hide behind no comment. She answered the tough basketball question and the even tougher off-court question back to back, without flinching. Reporters in that room walked away saying the same thing. She basically delivered the calmest, most quotable response possible to a situation that could have spiraled completely out of hand. And then came the question everyone actually wanted answered. What did she think about the two-word post? She didn't dodge that one either. She said she trusted the league to handle it, and made it clear she didn't see race as the issue here at all. Then she brought up her own history, pointing out that she'd been ejected for the exact same type of foul the year before, and she'd fully accepted it. Her point was simple. If the standard applied to her then, it should apply the same way now. No special card needed. That wasn't just a deflection. It was a receipt. By bringing up her own ejection unprompted, she wasn't just defending herself. She was daring anyone watching to explain why this situation should be judged any differently than her own past. But if Cunningham was trying to close the story down, what happened next blew it back open. Minutes after getting tossed from the game, Dejounte Carrington opened social media and posted 2 words, tagging the Fever directly: white privilege. No explanation, no follow-up. Just 2 words launched straight into a sports internet already replaying the foul on loop. The reaction split instantly, right down predictable lines. Some pointed to Carrington's academic background. She studied African and African American studies at Stanford, and argued she was making a bigger point about how physical fouls get judged differently depending on who's throwing them. Others called it reckless, saying that turning a clean, reviewed officiating call into a racial flashpoint minutes after hitting someone in the head and neck was dangerous in its own way, especially with this many eyes already on every Fever game. Even the coaches couldn't agree. Indiana's head coach didn't try to blow the moment up bigger than it was. She said it was a hard foul, that she didn't believe the intent was to hit her player across the neck like that, but that it happened, and the call was the right one. That's a coach agreeing with the ejection while still not believing there was malice behind it. A tough needle to thread in front of a room full of cameras. On the other side, Chicago's head coach saw it completely differently in the moment, saying it looked like a normal play on the ball and didn't think it deserved a flagrant 2, though he admitted he hadn't seen the replay yet. 2 days later, after watching the footage from every angle, he hadn't really changed his stance. He still defended his player's intent and pushed back on what he called inconsistent officiating. He also acknowledged something else, that his player was getting hit with a wave of hostility online, and that if the league wanted to talk about protecting players, that protection needed to go both ways. Online, commentators piled in from every direction. Some defended Carrington's right to speak on systemic issues from her own lived experience. Others, including well-known sports voices, argued that whatever point she was trying to make got buried the second she attached it to a foul that had already been reviewed and upgraded strictly on its own merits, not on who threw it. By the next morning, this wasn't just a sports story anymore. It had crossed over into general news and opinion coverage, the kind of jump that only happens when something taps into a conversation far bigger than the game itself. So what did the league actually do about all this? Carrington was fined $1,000 for the ejection and the post. That's confirmed. And that's basically it. No suspension, no further statement, nothing else. 2 days after the incident, she suited up and played completely normally against Seattle, like none of it had ever happened. That silence landed at the worst possible time. Cunningham had already spent weeks at the center of a completely separate controversy over comments she made opposing transgender athletes in women's sports. Comments that had triggered boos on the road, organized protests outside arenas, and public criticism from across the league. It had even led to a team co-owner getting suspended for confronting two teenage fans holding a sign in support of her stance. That situation, the league handled fast. This one, they didn't touch. Days before this very game, the league's commissioner had sent a memo to teams acknowledging that conversations about all of this were ongoing. And instead of cooling things down, this new controversy landed like a second live wire on top of an already tense situation. 2 days later, Carrington tried to walk part of it back, saying she never claimed the officiating call itself was about privilege, and that she felt she understood the concept far better than critics were giving her credit for. But by then, the story had already dominated headlines for 2 full days, almost entirely because the league itself hadn't said a word to shape the narrative one way or another. With the league staying silent, the pressure just shifted to louder voices. Some commentators called for a season-long suspension, framing the foul as deliberate. Others went even further, openly questioning whether the league's ownership needed to step in and clean house. But here's the important part. None of that means the top of the league has actually done anything. No statement, no fine, no involvement. The reality is, player discipline here falls on the WNBA's own front office, not on anyone above it. And it's that office that's gone quiet. Still, the pressure keeps building. A $1,000 fine that satisfied almost nobody. 2 days of silence that let the story spin in every direction. And a growing chorus asking how much bigger this needs to get before someone with real authority finally says something. Because here's the truth sitting underneath all of it. Every single day the league doesn't clarify where it actually stands is another day fans, analysts, and columnists get to fill that silence with their own version of events. And a league that refuses to speak long enough eventually loses control of its own story completely. So that's where this stands. A foul upgraded to a flagrant 2. A 2-word post that split a locker room and the internet. A tiny fine followed by total silence, followed by a player right back on the court like nothing happened. One player answered every hard question head on. The other walked it back 2 days too late. And now, more people than ever are asking just how long the silence can last before someone at the top is forced to break it. If you think the league needs to step up and finally address this, drop your take in the comments. And if you want to be there the moment this story finally gets a real answer, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this one is far from over.